Welcome back, guys, and today we're going to do another Pokemon tutorial, TCGO tutorial. And today we're going to be talking about basic deck building. I do want to do another series that I can kind of talk about more in-depth deck building, but for today we're just going to talk about basic deck building. Now, I want to preface this by saying there are some YouTubers on here that know the Pokemon formats a lot better than I do, and their advice might be better than my own, but this is just a basic way to get into the game and maybe outside of the theme deck format. So if we did what I discussed last Pokemon tutorial, then we are battling the AI, maybe doing some theme deck battles, building up our coins, building up our tickets, and buying some packs, buying some decks, and maybe we've got a little bit of a collection going from the packs we're winning and from the packs we're buying, and maybe now we want to try to play in Standard or Extended or even Legacy, which I would refrain from doing at least at first, but hey. And so now we want to build our own deck. So the first thing I'm going to recommend, so I guess there's really two ways to go about this. We can net deck, and that's fine. Net decking is its own thing. If you want to go and just Google search top tier Pokemon standard decks, I'm sure you'll come up with a lot of results. And if you want to specifically collect those cards and build that, cool. That's great. But at least in my experience, the TCGO is not really like just overran with like meta decks, and well they may be, but I don't really see like this huge power gap in Pokemon. So it leads me to believe that there's actually a lot of like top tier potential in the standard and extended formats. I might be wrong on this. This could all be wrong information, but I'll tell you from my experience of playing the game, you can build a questionable deck and still get results. So with that being said, you don't absolutely need top tier meta decks. If you want to, that's fine, but if you want to build your own deck, I would say out of every TCG I've played, this is one of the most forgiving on deck building. So without further ado, let's get into it. My recommendation for building your first deck would be A, to build it in standard, and B, to build it from a theme deck that you've been playing a lot of. So the theme deck that I played the most of is Tropical Takedown, but I have already built a standard deck centered around that, named Tropical Beachdown. I feel unfair to show you how I did that because I know exactly what I'm doing with that deck, and although there's upgrades to be had, I would rather do Stormcaller because I know Stormcaller, but like with you, I'm going to be discovering kind of what exactly I should put in there based on my knowledge of it, but I'm not just going to know exactly what to do, so I'm going to have to explain myself essentially. So first things first, we're going to go over here to clone deck. So highlight the deck, clone it. Okay, you've successfully cloned a new deck, Stormcaller 0. So let's go to Stormcaller 0, double click into it, and this is the theme deck. Just straight the theme deck. But the difference is that we can edit it. So we can play it in standard, we can edit it, and that's really that's really nice. So with Stormcaller, if any of you are familiar with Stormcaller, it's a really good theme deck. I would consider picking it up. It's only a set old as of the time of recording this, and I still think it's really good. I don't know if the new theme decks are like a lot better than it. The new Charizard looks pretty silly, and I don't know what the new Blastoise does, but the new Charizard definitely looks good. But with this deck, it's very possible to hit 120 pretty consistently on like turn 3 to 5, And yet again, with being able to customize the deck, we're going to make that even more consistently. So first things first, we need to identify who the best cards in this deck are. Now, I don't think Pokemon-wise this deck has too much filler. I really don't. I think that as far as Psychic is concerned, which this deck does have 2 Psychic Pokemon, these are really good Pokemon for the deck. So I'm not really that confident in taking out anyone without at least first seeing if we have more people to put in. So Zebstrika, I would say one of is okay. I might eventually be looking for a second, but I would say for now Zebstrika is fine as a one of. In fact, because it's only a one of, I might take out one Blitzel. That's his name, right? Yeah, Blitzel. I might take out one Blitzel just so there's like a better ratio. We really don't want basic Blitzels. I mean, well, yeah. But Zebstrika can be pretty nice. His ability here, once during your turn, before your attack, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Well, if you have 0, wait, hold on, no, I do believe I've messed this up before. You do have to have 1 card, but if that 1 card you have, you don't need, or, you would just rather 4 cards, then this is a great trade. But I do believe you can't do this with 0 cards in hand, because I think I've messed that up before. So it's a good support card, but we don't want basic Blitzels, so I'm going to take one of those out. Now, the Mareep line, the Ampharos is exactly, we need Ampharos. This is how we get our deck going. So, in fact, if we have more Ampharoses, which we don't, unfortunately, but if we did, I would heavily consider adding more. But we don't. Maybe, okay, so we have a Flaffy. I'm going to add one more Flaffy, just so all our Mareeps can at least evolve to Flaffy, because Signal Beam is okay. It's okay, at least in a theme deck format, maybe not in a standard format, but it's better than Thundershock, right? So at the very least, if we have all 3 Mareeps down, we can at least try to get all 3 Flaffies, and then hopefully 2 of them into Ampharoses. So from here, yet again, I'm going to add 1. Okay, so it's warning me right now you can't have over a 60 card deck. That's fine. We're not going to end with over 60 cards. That's fine. But I am going to add another Naganadol, because this card is just really good. Charging up, once during your turn, before you attack, you may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. This is really going to help. And then if you have exactly 3 prize cards during this attack, or remaining, this attack does 80 more damage for a total of 160. That's really good. 160 can knock out a lot of things. And if it doesn't knock it out, it's going to put it near death's door. Even EXs and GXs, which if you're about to play Standard, you're going to have to get familiar with EX, GX, and tag teams. And of course we're going to have 3, so hopefully all 3 of them can evolve into all 3 of these. Raikou, this is the guy the deck's built around. Lost Voltage. So this says if you have any electric energy cards in the Lost Zone, this attack does 90 more damage for a total of 120. So this is exactly what we're looking to do. Basically 2 energy for 120. That's pretty good. That's pretty aggressive, pretty strong. Even for the standard format that I've seen, at least in the online client, that's pretty strong. And then Ampharos says, once during your turn, before you attack, You may put 2 electric energy cards from your hand into the Lost Zone. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. I mean, and Ampharos has a pretty good attack too. This attack does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for benched Pokemon. Both of those are really good things to have. But Ampharos can do this from the bench, which is really nice, because if we have our Raikou out as our active, Ampharos can do this from the bench, which is exactly why I would be adding more of these if I could. Now, as far as Smeargle is concerned, I know that this card is has seen some play. I'm not that big of a fan of it in this deck. I'm glad that I have one from this deck in my collection, but I'm not really a fan of it in my deck because you want to know what's in your hand. And there are so many supporters. Like, imagine the only supporter they have is a judge, and you really like your hand. Well, that sucks. Oh, well, it does say you may. It does say you may. I actually thought it was that you had to. So, I'm still not overall a fan of it. I think that if I had more Ampharoses and Raikous, that these 2 would be cards to take out. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take out Furfrou. Return, you may draw cards up until you have up to 5 in your hand for 20 damage. If we want card draw in the deck, we should just put it in the trainer slot, in my opinion, and have stronger Pokemon. Okay, so for trainers, energy switch. I actually think that we need more energy switches. So we're going to come over here. We do have quite a few energy switches. I like to diversify the art in my deck. I know some people like to have all 4 of the same card. I actually prefer when all 4 aren't the same. So we are going to just go over and take out or put in some energy switches. I don't know, 4 might be overkill, but the reason I like 4 is because essentially, so let me defend my point here, is Naganadel is going to, with charging up, he's able to take an electric energy from the discard pile, which is not the Lost Zone. Keep that in mind. Lost Zone, discard pile are 2 separate things. But he's going to be able to take an electric energy from the discard pile onto him. But if you already have 3, well, then Energy Switch can essentially allow you to play 2 energies per turn, because you play your normal energy from your hand, and then you can Naganadel to put it onto him, and then Energy Switch to put it onto whoever you actually want it on. This isn't an extremely energy heavy deck, but if I have 3 of my Naganadels out, then I just think it's really good. Maybe not 3. So which one of these? I honestly think this is probably my least favorite. I really like Trico though, but maybe 3. Maybe 3 is fine. An escape rope, whatever. No, I'm gonna take out the escape rope, but in place of Guzma, which essentially does the same thing at support level though. But I understand we want Switch to just be in there. We want the ability to be able to switch out the opponent's active Pokemon, but with Guzma you actually get to choose what comes out in the active Pokemon's place. Nest Ball, gotta have it. It's gonna be able to get out our Raikou. It's gonna be able to get out any basic Pokemon that we might have the evolutions for. I'm a fan of that. Rescue Stretcher, especially since we don't have playsets of the Pokemon we really want. This is fine. Timer Ball is good. I'm gonna take out Ultra Ball. We have enough fetch already. We have 4 balls in this deck. I don't think we need Ultra Ball. We don't really want to be discarding energy as much as putting energy in the Lost Zone or having energy in our hand. The only reason we really want to be discarding energy is for Naganadel, but I really don't think we want to be specifically discarding energy for that. It's more so for when maybe your first Raikou dies and you just have electric energy in the discard pile just naturally. So I think Timer Ball and Nest Ball is going to do plenty for our fetch. Copycat, eh. I feel two ways about this. I don't feel like it's great, but I don't feel like it's awful at the same time. It's just kind of so-so. How? Card draw, great, awesome. Kaylee, let's see here. This is okay, but it's going to be one of the first to come out. In fact, we're going to take it out in place of more ladies, because lady is really important for this deck. So lady says, search your deck for up to 4 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into your hand. This isn't good for fixings. This is just good because, yet again, with Ampharos, we want as many electric energy in our deck, or in our hand, that we can have. Lily is okay. I think a 1-of is fine here. And then Pokemon Fan Club, I think this is okay. Professor Cuckoo, this is great for Pokemon that are just barely over 120 health, or maybe for some EXs and GXs that might take a 140 and then a 120, so like 250 health. This is really good for that. And anyway, Tate and Lisa, I'm gonna take it out just because I think we have a lot of stuff that does what they do, but better. Our energy fixings, or our energies, not fixings. We just have electric energy. That's exactly what we want, because the only psychic Pokemon we have uses colorless energy anyway. So that's exactly what we want. We don't want any psychic energy in this entire deck. But I do believe just the few changes we've made make this deck a lot better. So we're going to call this... Lost Thunder is the name of the set, isn't it? But I do kind of like Lost Thunder as a name for a deck. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna call it Lost Thunder. Honestly, I like that name for a deck. I think Raikou is fine there. Deck box. Do we have anything really cool? Not really. That has the theme of this. That's fine. Card sleeves. That's fine. Okay. So, you know what? I don't want to play the deck because I'm not as confident with this deck as I'd like to be. I just really wanted to show you guys exactly, basically how to go from theme deck to standard, and this would be a way, right here. I would recommend to know what's set. So I've not opened up much Lost Thunder, both in real life and the game. So I don't really have a lot of the play sets of cards that I really think I should have play sets for. And I would definitely recommend, so say you were playing with Stormcaller and you really like it, and trust me, I really like Stormcaller. I really like Stormcaller. I would recommend then spending your coins and spending maybe real life money as well, if you can afford it, on some Lost Thunder booster packs, so you can hopefully get some play sets of whatever you're looking for. And this goes for any deck that you're playing. Get some packs to hopefully get more than just one. and this is exactly what I've done with Tropical Beach Down. Is I've bought a lot of packs. What was the set for that? I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I've bought a lot of packs as to hopefully get more Forbidden Light, as to hopefully get more of the Alolan Executors. And unfortunately in the game I have it. I have a playset in real life. I do not have a playset in the game, unfortunately. But I would at least recommend 3 of your heavy hitters. So if we were wanting to take this Lost Thunder deck seriously, I would recommend 3 Raikus and probably 3 Ampharoses as well. That way it's not just luck. If you get one in your hand, it's more actually just, statistics. You're more than likely going to get one every game, and you're more than likely not going to be a situation where one or possibly even both of them are in your prize pool, which happens, and that really sucks. And keep in mind, another way that I would potentially get into standard or even extended is with 10s. A lot of newer 10s come with decks as their code, and they're actually decent decks. They need to be tweaked a little bit. One of the things I heavily disagree with is their lack of emphasis on energies. They come with 14 energies. I am not a fan of that. But overall, these decks are pretty good, and luckily I had another Leafeon, so the rule of thumb here of having 3 of your heavy hitters, well, I actually had 3 of my heaviest hitter in this deck, so that actually worked out pretty perfectly. Anyway, this will be it for this tutorial. I am going to do another deck building video next, but it's not really going to be a tutorial, more so as a part of another series that I really want to do, so take it with a grain of salt. And take this one with a grain of salt too. I'm happy with what I've shown, but like I said, this Lost Thunder deck, really, I wouldn't feel comfortable seriously playing it in standard right now. It wouldn't be up to my standards. Anyway, smash that like button for the pun, and make sure to comment if you have any questions still, maybe any suggestions for tutorials that you're just not quite getting. And make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we will see you next time.